Hello, Michelle, and welcome to the World Vegan Travel Podcast.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the podcast to talk about a place that I know very little about, despite its proximity to a lot of really famous places and attractions. Well, famous, I would say, and that is the state of Delaware. All I know about this place is it's a very small state. I believe that Biden makes his home there when he's not in Washington, D.C. And I know it for this incredible horseshoe crab breeding place, which maybe I'll have to ask you a few questions about during the course of this podcast. And I'm really excited to have you on because you actually are in the vegan travel space in Delaware, of all places. So, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do in the vegan travel space?
Sure. In 2016, my husband and I bought a piece of property and we built this beautiful house and we made it into a bed and breakfast. I've been vegan since 2008, so it just kind of naturally fell into that I would just be a vegan chef and a B&B owner.
Okay, so what is the name of your bed and breakfast and where is it located?
The bed and breakfast is called the Salisbury House. It's our last name, so we just made it simple. And we are about 2 miles west of Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Okay, so can you get us a little bit oriented, please? Where is Bethany Beach?
Sure. So Delaware is the second smallest state. We have 3 counties, and we are in the southernmost county, pretty close to the Maryland border on the beach.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about the bed and breakfast. How many rooms are there? What services do you provide?
Sure. So we built it's like a little Tuscan villa. We have 3 rooms that we rent. It's on 5.5 acres, so it's very
Oh,
private.
wow.
Yes, we are very fortunate to find a piece of property. And we are adjacent to the Assawoman Wildlife Sanctuary. So there's 3,000 acres that's next to us that'll never be built. It's really beautiful. So the property is very private, especially being so close to Bethany. In the summertime, Bethany is just busy with people and activities and all kinds of stuff going on. But we have a little quiet resort with a pool, a heated pool, stays open from April to October, so you can swim. I offer a 3-course vegan breakfast every morning.
That is a big way to start the day. My goodness.
Yeah, a lot of people don't need to eat lunch when they leave here. They usually just go out for dinner. When people arrive, I have like a little charcuterie board that I make them with vegan cheeses or homemade hummus and local vegetables or fruits and stuff. And they have a glass of wine or a beer to relax. I show them their room and talk about the house, how we built it, and different things they can do around, keep them busy while they're here. Or they can just lay by the pool all day if they want.
Yeah. So Bethany Beach is, well, on the coast. Can you talk a little bit more about this destination? Is it a resort town? Like, what's going on there?
So it's actually named the Quiet Resort. We don't have the big high rises. There's a state colony there that they rent out condos, but the town is so quaint. It's very family oriented. They have the main street with all the little shops and little restaurants and ice cream parlor and famous popcorn places. And it's just really a really quiet little place. So the summer is busy, but still, it's a very fun place to take your kids. And they have a bandstand and they have music playing, musicians. You get up to sing and dance. They even have movie night on the beach with bonfires.
Oh,
It's a really
fun.
fun community. Yeah.
By the sounds of it, it does attract a lot of visitors. Who are these visitors mainly?
I would say they are family, young family, kids ranging from babies all the way up to early teens, I would say. And then we have a town a little north of us, Dewey Beach, and that really attracts more like the college kids. And then north of that is Rehoboth, and that is for older people that really love good restaurants and a little quieter. And then you have Ocean City that's south of us, and that is for everybody. It's just a busy place. It has a larger beach area, and at the end has the quintessential boardwalk with the rides and all the food and the fun stuff, arcades and everything. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. The fact that you have there's a vegan accommodation here in a place that's a resort, so fun because there are a few vegan bed and breakfasts around, but they're often not in the resort area. This is just so cool. So you offer like a full course, a 3-course breakfast, which I think is fantastic. And the fact that you don't need lunch, I absolutely love because eating out has got so expensive in recent years. The fact that you can have this really great full breakfast means that you just have to have dinner. Do you offer any kind of dinner option, or are there plenty of options in the town itself for food for vegans?
We don't really have a lot of options in town because it is family oriented. There's like pizza and French fries and Mexican place. I guess the place in Bethany, there may be a couple little options that you could have. It is hard to eat out for vegans, but I hate to tell you, a lot of my guests are not vegan. I have maybe, I know, 95% of my guests are not vegan. If they come here and they ask me like a certain place if they can go, they'd have to drive a little bit, maybe go up to Rehoboth, or they would go to Berlin. And there are some really great options there, but only a little bit here in Bethany.
I see. I'd love to talk a little bit more about Delaware and the geography because those people that are not from the US and maybe from people who are from the US, the geography of Delaware is kind of interesting. You already mentioned that it's so small, but it has all of these bays and spits and things like that. Could you explain the setting of Delaware and maybe talk a little bit to the geography, the topography, and maybe the climate?
Oh, yeah. We have a really nice climate in the summertime. It can get warm, but we always have an ocean breeze. In the wintertime, it's very mild. We rarely get snow, but we do have like today is like 45 degrees. That's really the coldest it gets. But normally 45, 50. It's very mild out. You can still walk on the beach. So that's the climate. But we have so many state parks with lakes and walking trails, bike riding. And the bay, we have 2 bays. We have the Indian River Bay, which is a little north of me, and then we're right next to the Assawoman Bay, and they both have an inlet that go to the ocean. And the one inlet, the Indian River Inlet, is actually the most, I don't know, forceful inlet in the whole East Coast because it's such a narrow
Oh,
opening and it goes from the ocean into this bay. You could go down there and watch, and you really need to have a good boating skills to go out in that inlet. But it's a beautiful place.
oh.
Yeah.
Is that the South Indian River Inlet? I'm just
Yeah.
looking at Google Maps as we're chatting just to try and get my head around it.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of the water is coming through that little space there, and I guess that means that the tides are quite powerful. I don't know
Yeah.
much about these things.
Yeah. When the tide comes in and out, it gets very powerful there. But if you're looking at the map, that Indian River Inlet, that's where a lot of the horseshoe crabs, they do their mating and they come in and they lay on the beaches over there. It's really fascinating.
Oh, so the horseshoe crabs go into Indian River Bay, not just Delaware Bay as well.
Yeah, they go into Indian River Bay, they go to Assawoman Bay. They're on the ocean also, but they come in because it's a little calmer and it's shallow.
So let's talk about wildlife. I think there is quite a lot from what you're talking about. What are some of the wildlife spectacles or species that you could see that's special to Delaware?
We still have the deer and the fox and all that, but the horseshoe crabs, I think, are definitely something for Delaware only. But a little south of us, we have Assateague Island, and they have the free roaming ponies there. And it's beautiful to go down and walk. You could walk on the beach. They have all kinds of trails. You could walk or ride your bike. And the ponies are just beautiful. You can't go next to them. You can't touch them or anything because they do bite, but they're beautiful to watch. They run on the beach. They go into the
Oh,
bay.
wow.
Yeah.
So where is that at, please?
Assateague Island in Maryland. It's about maybe a half-hour ride south of us.
Okay, so I'm having a look at the map here, and Assateague Island, and I guess this is the feature of much of the northeast of the United States. You've got all of these kind of, I want to say like sandbars, or these long sort of islands that are protecting the coast a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting.
The north part of the island is called Assateague, and that's in Maryland. And then the south part of the island is called Chincoteague, and that's in Virginia. And the horses just go back and forth.
Wow. Okay. And how did they end up there? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I think that there was a Spanish ship that had wrecked off the island and was bringing ponies over from Spain.
So a very long time ago.
Oh, yes, very long time ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'd love to talk more about the horseshoe crabs before we go on to the next thing. But this really captured my imagination. So for those that don't know, these horseshoe crabs really just look very strange. I believe that they, unfortunately, they are actually farmed because their blood is blue and very important for medical research, which of course I don't like at all in terms of these poor animals, because the way that they're farmed seems rather terrible. But they come and I believe they mate or they lay their eggs, and it's just one of these incredible wildlife spectacles that you can see around the world. And it's right in this little state of Delaware. Can you talk about what people could expect to see and why this is such an important wildlife sighting?
So they do look a little prehistoric, I would imagine. They're maybe 18 inches in diameter. They have like little spikes on their back and this big, long, pointy tail. And it looks like a shield or like a stretched out helmet, and they're dark brown, and they just go in the ocean, and then they find their way to the bay and go up onto the beaches. I believe they lay their eggs there. So it is protected area. You can't go and catch them and do what you're saying they do to them. They don't do that in Delaware at all. And you can see them everywhere on the beaches. And even my husband and I were on the ocean beach a couple of years ago, and they just kept coming up. And my husband didn't know what was going on, so he'd pick them up and he'd put them back in the ocean. And here comes another one. He'd pick it up, and he thought they were coming up by accident. Actually, were coming up to mate and lay their eggs. They were like, oh my gosh, we didn't know that when we first moved down here. We didn't know what they were doing. My husband thought he was doing something good for the environment. But they found their way back up. And they are really harmless. You can pick them up. I don't recommend it. People think they sting you and stuff. They don't do that. Yeah.
Because they've got this long kind of like tail. They really don't look like crabs at all.
No.
And I believe the underside of them, the reason why I happen to know so much about horseshoe crabs is when I was teaching, there was a book that I used to read to the students, like this literary nonfiction, and it was all about the horseshoe crabs in Delaware. So I feel like I know more than most people about these incredible animals. Wow. And they are just really very weird and quite scary looking, actually.
They are scary looking, but they're just gentle. They don't really do anything. Yeah.
Yeah. As I'm looking at Google Maps as I talk to you, there is a lot of state forests, and you already talked about how Salisbury House is located right on a reserve and state parks and things like that. Would you say that this is something unique to Delaware in just how much of the space is protected and devoted to conservation and trying to preserve green spaces?
Yeah, we have a lot of beautiful state parks. And like I said, you can go bicycling. There's a lot of lakes you could fish in. It is really, I think it is unique that we have so much space just saved so we don't build anymore. We are getting built up a little here in Bethany. A lot of the locals don't really like it, but they have a lot of places that are saved and everybody can use. Henlopen State Park is right on the beach, so there won't be any big houses there. So you have this whole area that's beautiful that you can just walk around. There's a lot of state parks on the beach also. Fenwick has a state park, so there's no houses there, no buildings. You feel like you're the only one there, especially in the fall. You could just walk the beach forever. You might not even see anybody. It's really very unique. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because those kind of islands that protect the bays a little bit, they all seem to have absolutely nothing on them. Maybe like the road going through, but otherwise they don't have much on them at all. So it feels like you could really explore nature and just be really quiet. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've established that Delaware is a really great place for families and to get into nature. And despite it being quite a built up area, there's still plenty of places to get away from it all, which I think is important for us when we're going on a holiday. What kind of other activities are there for people who choose to vacation or have a staycation or a weekend in this part of the world?
Oh, there's so much to do. We have this beautiful botanical gardens right down the road from us. Oh, yeah, it's the designer, I think he designed part of Central Park or something. It's just absolutely beautiful. And it's right on the bay. So you have all the different plants that grow on the bay, and you can take a tour, or you can just walk around if you want. That's a great place to go. You can go kayaking or stand up paddleboard on the bay. Oh, there's so much to do. We have, like I said before, the bandstand in Bethany always has activities. The Indian River Life Saving Station, you can do a tour there and see what it was like in the 1800s, what it was like to save ships that were in peril. That's a good thing to do.
Oh, tell us more about that.
Just a little bit north of the inlet there, we call it the Blue Bridge because it has all these beautiful blue lights on it. I think I sent you a picture. And so it was built in 1876 and it was used as a life-saving station, and they have fully restored it. And now they have exhibits in there and they do historical reenactments sometimes. And it's really a really interesting place to see. They have a lookout tower that you can climb up and see the boats. And at nighttime, they do different activities for the kids. I took my grandchildren there and we search for ghost crabs. They look like real crabs, not the big ones, but they're like little white crabs and you can watch them run around. And you can go for full moon walks. They have so much to do here. Any time of the year also. It's not just during the summertime.
Yeah, okay, all right. And are there any specific seasonal things that people might like to check out? Particular festivals or events that people might want to time their visit to either avoid or to join in?
All the towns have their Christmas lighting so that you come and do that. The last weekend in January, we have Ice Festival, and the local restaurant owners, they do ice carvings, and then they have these specialty drinks, and it's all over Bethany. You walk around and you go to different restaurants, try their drinks, and eat the food. That's a fun thing for wintertime. And of course, you got all the outdoor activities, boating, kayaking. In the fall, we always have Halloween parades. Dewey is very famous for having like dog gatherings. They have a golden week. They have labs and all different kinds of dogs. It's so much fun to go up there. You can even take surf lessons if you're really into that. That's a lot of fun.
That's great. I didn't know that Delaware was a surfing destination.
Like we talked about, the inlet has a lot of waves, and with the narrow entrance, it does cause a lot of waves right north of the inlet. So you can go surfing. Yeah. It's not like Hawaii or anything, but it's fun for kids. Yeah.
Good place to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Something that you mentioned in our notes was the Lewis Sea Glass Festival.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you talk to that?
Yeah, that's a fun little festival. A lot of people come and they have crafts with sea glass. They do jewelry, artwork, sculptures. Yeah, it's really fun. And they can show you, I think they have
Okay.
demonstrations on how to make jewelry and everything. Yeah. There's a lot of different festivals all throughout the year. Yeah.
Really, I love it. I love it. So, in terms of the food scene, I'm imagining that there's at the food and drinking scene. I'm at so many places, including like the small town where I live now. Like we have a big brewery scene now, so that the Tourist Information Centre is really encouraging visitors to go and participate in going to all of these different breweries. So, is there anything like that happening in Delaware or where you are?
Oh, absolutely. We have Dogfish Head right down the road up in Rehoboth, and that is a huge brewery. My son said he like started the microbrewery whole explosion. So last week they just had brewers from all over the world come to Dogfish Head, and they had a little yeah, powwow or whatever. But Dogfish Head is very popular. We have a wine trail, brewery. Oh, we have a meadery up in Lewis too. Have you heard of a
Okay. No,
meadery?
tell me about that.
That's right down the road from Dogfish Head. And we have a great little winery, Salted Vine. It's it's a really great place. They have live music, they have festivals there, they have good wine, they have food trucks, so that's a great place to go for a weekend. And we have another one down the road, Windmill Creek Winery, and they have the igloos. Have you seen those? They have an igloo village. It's these little plastic bubbles, and you go in, you can sit 6 people, and you have wine and food, and it's they have a whole little village there. That's fun to do in the wintertime. And we definitely have some more breweries in Berlin. We have a distillery in Ocean City, another one in Berlin. So there's a lot of wine and beer distilleries need to be had here in Delaware.
So there are vineyards. So as well as the actual wineries, there are vineyards as well. I'm surprised that the climate is good for grapes.
Yeah, there's only a certain type of vines that can survive in this sandy, salty area. And we're in
Ah.
the same Cape May, New Jersey. They have a lot of wines on southern Jersey too, so we can grow the same grapes and have the same type of wine. It's not Italy by any means, but it's a good wine. They usually do a lot of sweeter wines or fruit wines. There's a couple of reds that are really nice too, but they're like very subtle red wine. Yeah.
Mm, okay. Oh, that's so interesting. So, what would you say is the best hiking trail in your part of the world?
I would say the Lewis hiking trail that'll take you over to Cape Henlopen. So the trail actually starts behind the outlets up in Lewis, and you can walk, I think it's about 17 miles, and you can walk through historical Lewis along the canal and in this town. It looks like an English boating town. It's so cute. And they have historical buildings, great little places to eat. And then you can continue walking along to Cape Henlopen, and you pass the Cape May Lewis Ferry. And you can walk into the Cape Henlopen State Park. And there's all kinds of beautiful trees and fauna. You can walk along the beach. Then on top of this little hill, there's this historical World War II big, huge gun. They have a tower you can walk in. You can learn a little bit about the history of the area from the war time. They were like lookout towers, and now they're restoring them, and they'll give you the history of that. They have barracks too that you can walk through. You get a little bit of everything from a beautiful walk, trees and birds. Oh, eagles. You can see eagles all the time. And then you can walk through the historical town of Lewis. And then you end up at the beach and you can learn a bit about the history here of the war in Delaware. Yeah.
Can you tell me the name of that hike again?
It's the Lewis Trail that will take you to Cape Henlopen.
Okay. And how long is it? Is this like a 1 day thing or a 5 kilometer, 3 mile hike?
Oh, it's a long hike. I think it's about 17 miles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a big, long, full day.
But you
That
can
sounds
break it up.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely amazing. You can break it up or you could start anywhere you wanted to. You could start in downtown Lewis and then walk your way over to Cape Henlopen. And you can make it longer or shorter.
Great. Okay, thanks for that recommendation. Now, biking, you mentioned already that biking is a really great activity because it's nice and flat. And of course, we can cover a lot of ground compared with walking when we're on a bicycle. So, is there like a great biking route that you might recommend where you can do maybe 20 miles in a day? Can you make a suggestion?
Yeah, you definitely can also bike the Lewis Trail. But I think would be really nice is going down to Assateague and riding around and stopping and walking and seeing the horses. They have these great walking trails that go out to the bay, and they have all these little signs that'll tell you what you're looking at and about the trees and how the deer and the horses, how they drink water and how they eat. You can start at the visitor center and then you can drive your bike over the pedestrian bridge. And at the visitor center, you can learn all kinds of things about the island and where the horses came from. And like I said, how they eat and drink. And you just ride along the bay. You go in, make your first right, and that's your national park. You drive down there and you take the little different hiking tours. They're like boardwalks. You walk out to the bay and you come back
Oh.
in, you go all the way to the end, and you can walk on the beach while you're there. That's a really nice one because you get the breeze from the bay and the ocean, so it's really not that hot. You can do it anytime.
Ah, okay. Fantastic. Can I ask you your favorite restaurant in vegan restaurant or very vegan friendly restaurant in Delaware, and why is it your favorite?
Oh, wow. Okay, it's not in Delaware, I have to admit. It's in the town of Berlin, and it's called Blacksmith. They have a whole section, a whole separate menu for vegan options. And my favorite thing there is the seitan bao buns. Oh, sometimes I dream about them. They're so good.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit about the vibe
Oh, it's actually called the Blacksmith because it used to be a black. The
there?
decorations are really cool. They got these great big lanterns hanging from the ceiling, and it's quaint and cozy. And most of it is like this couch sitting area with little benches, a cute little bar. They have outdoor seating in the summer, which is really fun. You can bring your puppy if you want. But Berlin is a great little town. Actually, they filmed Runaway Bride there, looking for a
Oh,
runaway.
fun.
Yeah, they do ghost tours at night. They took the old railway and they made those little bicycle cars. You can take it down. I think it's about,
Oh, fun.
yeah, you could take them down there. That's a fun day. So you can spend the whole day in Berlin and then stop at the blacksmith shop. Wait, I took my granddaughters down there. They have a glass blowing shop and you can take classes and you can make your own Christmas ornaments or they do different things for Halloween. They'll do pumpkins and Christmas ornaments for Christmas. So that's a fun thing you can do down there is glass blowing.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Do you tell me what your favorite beach is and why?
Oh boy. I love beaches, and that's one of the main reasons we moved here from upstate New York. Um,
Oh,
my husband and I like to go to the drive-on beach. Have you heard of drive-on beaches? Where,
not at all.
okay, so you have to have a four-wheel drive vehicle. We drive onto the beach at 3 hours just south of the Indian River Inlet, and you just sit there and you have this whole piece of beachfront property all to yourself. I think to drive on the beach and just sit there and just relax. It's just a fun time. Yeah, and families can go, and we have a whole bunch of friends that go. So you have like 5 different cars, and everybody's sharing food and playing games. And yeah, that's my favorite thing, I think. My favorite beach.
I love it. Okay, I'm looking at it now, and yeah, it's really lovely. It is long as well. My goodness.
Yeah, we can fit a lot of cars there.
That's amazing. Oh, so fun. Oh, yes, as I'm looking through, I'm seeing a lot of trucks there as well, and very, very cool. Okay, what is your favorite time of year in this part of the world?
September. All the tourists are gone. Everybody's back in school, getting into the regular routine, but the restaurants are still open and the water is still warm enough to swim in the ocean and
Mhm.
walk on the beach. And you just take your chair out, you could read a book, and no one's around. So you have the whole place to yourself. The traffic is a lot less. The restaurants are still open and they start doing specials for locals. That's when all of the residents, locals go out and then we start seeing each other again. And it's fun. Yeah, I love
I
September the best.
That sounds awesome. Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast and sharing a little bit about this little corner of the United States. I'm really intrigued by the state. I can't wait to come and visit and hopefully have a 3-course breakfast in your lovely bed and breakfast. Can you tell listeners how they can reach out to you? How can they find you and make a booking with you, please?
Oh, that's great. Yes. So we are the Salisbury House at Bethany Beach. You can Google me. I have a beautiful website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Uh, yeah, so just Salisbury House BB.
Fantastic. And what's the best way for people to make bookings with you?
You can call me, or the website will help you walk through the reservation process.
Okay, fantastic. All right. And what kind of breakfast will I be looking forward to? I know it's a 3-courser, but
Oh.
what will be my breakfast at Salisbury House?
I'm going to make you my specialty. The second course will be my tempeh Benedict, so it's my play on eggs Benedict with my homemade
Yum.
hollandaise sauce. Yes. and I marinate the tempeh so it tastes like bacon, ham, tomato, and spinach and asparagus on an English muffin. It's so delicious. And maybe I'll make you my lemon crepes. Those are really delicious.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
yeah,
that sounds awesome.
yeah.
Wow. I'm so excited to come and visit you one day. Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. And I'm sure the season is winding down for you now. So enjoy that. And I wish you all of the luck, best of luck for the 2025 season. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.